Hi, welcome to the video. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy, and comment your thoughts and opinions on the stories. Let's get started. Am I the antagonist for saying the real reason to my biological son why I left them? I'm not really good with human interaction and I might be really wrong on this, because I'm feeling a discomfort on the subject. I, 45 male, am asexual and most probably aromantic. My psychiatrist also thinks I have alexithymia due to my brain structure. My insular lesion is underdeveloped, but he is not sure. As a summary, I don't have a grasp or affinity on humanly interactions. I do not feel anything other than satisfaction or discomfort when someone asks me to define my feelings, and I rather prefer spending my days behind a computer or book studying or working about something. I'm a data analyst for a university. I sometimes have weeks without seeing any people, and it doesn't bother me. When I was 24, I had sex with a woman while I was drunk. My first and last time I had a drink, and I had 6, unprotected, and she had a child. I'm the kid's sperm donor. When I held the baby, all I felt was a huge discomfort. So I signed away my rights. His mom did not object, but my family disowned me after this process. I never had an affinity for them. They also never liked me, so it wasn't surprising. I was uncomfortable living with the same town with them at first, but after 7 months, I had a job offer, moved out from my hometown within a night to my studio apartment, and I'm living there since. I have a hobby. I draw technical pictures, photograph buildings, and make my own building designs. I see a psychiatrist for my sleep problems, and my life is basically in an order, or was in an order until a month ago. Until my son sent me an email for asking me to meet. I didn't know what to do, so I said yes, and he came to the place I lived. When we tried to talk, the conversation only lasted for 20 minutes. It was mostly my medical history, and he asked me why I left them. I told him what I wrote here. I told him how I was incapable of feeling any kind of emotions, and how I felt a discomfort while he was in my arms, and I explained how he was conceived. He looked at me and said, "Wow, I thought grandma was exaggerating, but you are really a shadow of a human being. I know you are you, and you can't change who you are, but the only thing I feel is I pity your situation, and it is good for everyone you stay here, and we should cut contact. I hope you are happy with your life and I wish you well." I said I can't feel happiness, but he also has my best wishes. He left my apartment. When I told all of this to my psychiatrist yesterday, he implied that I might have hurt him, and it made me feel a discomfort. I usually don't have any kind of feelings after interactions with others, but this was different. So, am I the antagonist? Now for the top comments. Now, I'd be very curious to know what he was told his whole life, since he said the son asked why he left them. That's something you ask if you're under the assumption your parents were together at some point and someone walked out. Yeah, I noticed that. Honestly, it sounds to me like his mom and grandparents have cooked up some kind of fairy story between them. I'm getting the distinct impression from his son's attitude that Op's neurodivergence has been either ignored or demonized, and that they told the kid there was a relationship that Op bounced from, rather than him being the result of a one-night stand. That sounds uncomfortably in a gray area of consent to me. Now, you were very clear in how interactions work, or actually don't work, for you. At the same time, I can understand why your son would be hurt after reaching out. At least both of you got to meet each other. Am I the antagonist for refusing to give the police my security camera footage? Over the weekend I got a knock on the door, and to my surprise it was 2 plainclothes police officers. They were looking to obtain my security camera footage, as they got a tip that someone with a warrant was spotted in the neighborhood. Now I live in not the greatest neighborhood, so it didn't surprise me and wasn't super concerned. I told them sure, if they can give me a rough time and I'll get them whatever. Now here is where our conversation broke down. They wanted 2 weeks worth of footage, which wouldn't be an issue if it wasn't how my camera system works. I live on a corner lot with 3 cameras. All my cameras are set to motion detection, and any motion triggers a 3-minute recording per camera, which is saved to the cloud. So if one person walks in front of my house and turns the corner, that's 9 minutes of video. The cloud system doesn't have a way to mass download option, Each video has to be manually downloaded then transferred from my phone to my computer. One day of footage would be roughly 1200 individual 3-minute videos. So 2 weeks of footage isn't something I can just hand over. I explained this to them, and if they could narrow down the timeline or somehow contact the company it'd give them permission to hand over the footage. I had been talking with the first officer almost exclusively, but now the second officer seems to be getting upset. He raises his voice slightly and basically says that I don't have a choice and need to give them whatever they want. Now I'm not against police or anything, but I'm also not going to be bullied just because they are police. We argue a little, and I ask them to leave, but if they contact the company I would still try to help. I was telling my coworker about it, and he told me I'm an asshole and the footage could have helped catch a bad guy. Now I don't disagree that it may have helped, but all the footage would have done was confirm he was in the area. If he walked by my house, it would have taken me a good 10 hours to get all the footage, not to mention trying to hand over 100 GBs of footage. So Reddit, am I the antagonist? TL. Dr. Police wanted my security footage for an extended period of time, which would have been roughly 14,000 individually downloaded clips. Now for the top comments. NTA. You are definitely not obligated to give them the footage. If they start telling you that you have to tell them I need a subpoena, they should be able to give you a reasonable time frame. If they say something like, can you give us footage from 2 to 4 PM on last Tuesday, then I would probably give it to them. That's easy to do and will help cut down on crime. Hopefully. I know I wasn't obligated to give them anything, but was willing to help out. I offered if they could narrow down to even a day I'd get them what I could, but they were unwilling to compromise, which is why the conversation broke down. I think you did the right thing. It's literally not your problem. If they can respect the time you have to put into it, then you can respect the fact they are trying to deal with crime. Legally you are allowed to tell them they aren't welcome on your property and need to leave. That is what I would do. If they start telling me what I have to do, you only have to turn over records pursuant to a subpoena, and you normally get a month to comply with one of those. Wibta pretended I was too busy to meet a friend because I know she's got big news. I, late 20 SF, got a huge friend crush from work a few years back. She was so fun and outgoing I was immediately drawn to her, and we had some pretty wild times going out and going on adventures. At the time I found it hard to have friends like that, because most people were baby tied down or in their own little family hub with partners. One night, I end up bumping into an old high school crush that messed me about a lot, and I honestly have some very negative memories about. They hit it off from the moment they set eyes on each other. I didn't hear from her for a year. Then she asked if we could meet up for a coffee and she'd tell me all the things they were doing together and how happy she was. Then she disappeared again for another year. Now she's asking if we can meet up because she has big news, which I know for a fact is going to be pregnancy or marriage. I know it's petty, but I just don't want to hear it. I broke up with someone I loved dearly because he didn't want marriage or kids, and dating right now is just a shit sandwich. I think I could be happy for her if she ever took the time to actually see me, but I've had a tough couple of years and she never once bothered with me. I feel like maybe I'm being an asshole here because I'm being petty and I'm letting my own feelings of being alone affect my friendship. Also because I'd be lying about being busy. Edit update. Hey everyone. I'm so overwhelmed by the amount of responses this got. Thank you so much for your advice and support. So, I declined meeting for a coffee as she actually wanted to meet within the next couple of hours and I genuinely was busy. She didn't bother to reschedule. Big shock. But said the big news was that she is pregnant and wanted me to come to her baby shower. As suggested by a few commenters, this felt like a swing at getting some free gifts from me. I decided to get down to the nitty-gritty and tell her that I don't feel comfortable going to something meant for close friends when we haven't talked in a very long time. She didn't reply till this morning, and it was just an okay. Sorry to disappoint those who wanted me to open up a whole dialogue, but honestly, why would I bother? It's quite clear she isn't interested in a real friendship of any kind, and I think some people were right. Why waste my energy when I already tried reaching out to her multiple times throughout the years? I got rid of her number, but I haven't blocked her, not because I'll be expecting to hear from her again. I won't. Simply because it's a small town and I don't want to create waves. Just let it lie. Now for the top comments. Nah, but you don't have to lie. You can decline without giving a reason. Miss Manners would approve. Ada, I like this. It made me chuckle. What's the worst that can happen? If you don't meet up with this friend, you don't hear from her again ever, rather than once a year. And I note, that friend is what you've called her. So it's clear you recognize that she's really just an acquaintance, not a true friend. Now, you get to curate your own interactions with people and who you call true friends. Yeah, this woman isn't a friend. She's an annual newsletter. Feel free to cancel the subscription. I have some friendships dating back 30 years in which we only talk/get together once or twice a year. Just one of those things. But this doesn't feel like that at all. Am I the antagonist for leaving the restaurant because of what my husband did? I would like to start and say that my F29 husband M. 35 comes from a well-off family and most of his friends are well-off as well. Unlike me and my family, we come from humble, working class and don't own a lot of assets like my in-laws do. My husband cares about appearances. At first he didn't try to control how I look, but did buy me things he said I'd love, but nothing was my style really. After marriage he sat with me telling me I get 100% to choose how I look, except when I'm with him or his family, and introduced me to brands to choose my new clothes from, and I started wearing them whenever I'm with his family and friends. Although it limited my choice on what to wear, because I'm more into simple things. For his friend's birthday that was celebrated at an upscale restaurant, my husband bought me a $300 dress to wear for the occasion, but I didn't like many things about it. I told him I'd just wear my $60 floral maxi dress. He didn't think it was a good idea and said I was violating the rules he gave after we got married, but I said the dress he bought wasn't my style. I said I either wear my dress or not go. He said fine then, whatever, but still wasn't happy. We got to the restaurant and no one said anything about my dress, except his other friend who said I look great. After dinner, my husband moved quickly and spilled wine all over my chest and lap. He freaked out and said that he thankfully had a replacement, then pulled out the $300 he previously wanted me to wear out of the bag. This whole time I couldn't help but think he deliberately spilled the wine on my floral dress to force me into wearing the other dress. He handed me the dress and told me to go change. I got up, but instead of going to the restroom, I made my way to the door. He asked me to wait, but I kept walking while opening my phone to get an Uber to get me home. I stood outside and started arguing with him. He said he didn't get why I was behaving like this and embarrassing both him and myself like that. I said that he looked down on my dress and tried to trick me into wearing what he wanted by spilling wine on me. He told me to go back inside, but I said I won't move till my Uber arrived. He threw a fit calling me an embarrassment and stood there till I left. At home he went off saying I cold worn the dress and not make a scene, and then double down and walk out again. I said he disrespected my choices and implied I was an embarrassment. He said he was just calling a spade and I should quit acting so insensitive and getting offended over nothing. He said I made a joke out of him in front of his friends, and one of them, the one who complimented my dress, and the one who constantly tries to video chat with me whenever he sees me online, tried to call me, but I didn't respond because he made me feel uncomfortable. Am I the antagonist? Did I handle this right? Now for the top comments. NTA, why are you with someone who gives you rules on what you can wear? That's insane and controlling. He first said that it was a request that I wear this kind of clothes in front of his friends and family to be able to blend in. Now he's calling it a rule, which I would've never agreed on had I known that it was going to be like this. NTA, you had every right to leave, but from what you're telling us, I doubt your husband will ever change. He said that these things are relatively small and there is no way they'll affect our marriage, but he has proven this to be untrue. NTA, but what the actual F? To just be sitting on a spare dress through a whole dinner? That's unhinged. Edit. I've debated putting this here, but it deserves acknowledgement. Before today I'd never heard the phrase Marina a flag in my life. Am I the antagonist for tricking my in-laws into trying my food? This isn't necessarily my proudest moment, but I'm tired of being the outcast. My 32F husband Pete, 34 male, comes from a family where the women are all bakers. I'm a baker myself, and I used to sell out of my house under my state's cottage laws, but stopped because I like it just being a hobby. His sister-in-law Kay, 39, is the one who is known for her cupcakes and cake pops. When I first met everyone years ago, it was the first thing I learned. Everyone talked about everything she made. Even when Pete mentioned how good my stuff was, everyone would say that Kay sells hers and they're popular, so they must be better. Whenever I bring treats, they are often left under shade because they are not Kay's. Yes, I've been told that. They ask me to bring something every get together and never touch it. To be clear, Kay is mainly a baker, whereas I bake and specialize in professionally decorated cakes. Kay says that overly decorated cakes are compensating for their bad taste and Pet's family agrees. We had a BBQ Monday for Memorial Day and everyone made their treats. Kay decided to bring cake pops. She posted them on her Instagram the night before. So, and I know this much here, I made the exact same ones she did. Same flavor and design. We got there and everyone asked where my treats were. I said they're in car and I'll get them in a minute. So I waited for everyone to be outside, then I brought mine in and put them next to Kay's. After we eat, I noticed the family eating my cake pops and not Kay's. She didn't notice at first and then asked if they weren't feeling cake pops. They said they just ate them and they were the best she ever made and asked what she did different. Mother-in-law even said they looked so much better in person than in the picture. Kay was confused and said hers were still on the table. That's when I said, "Oh, I brought those. Glad you enjoyed them." Her husband said he hadn't had one yet. Lies. He ate two, and everyone else just said yeah. They were okay. Kay didn't say anything the rest of the night. Pete thought it was funny. He didn't know what I did until the reveal, but his brother, Kay's husband, said yesterday that what I did was mean and I'm just mad that Kay is a better baker. But Pete said it's ridiculous the family, including Kay, puts down my baking when they won't even try at all because I'm not Kay. Am I the antagonist? AITA, we aren't the only two who bring desserts. Just the ones who tend to bake cake more than others. Everyone else's desserts get eaten to some degree except mine. Edit 2, if it's not clear. Everyone includes Kay. She has often tried to teach me techniques that I either already knew or were completely wrong. So she wasn't like an innocent that got caught in the line of fire or something. Now for the top comments. NTA, but Pete's family is full of ours. Right, they do the effort to make sure I always feel an outsider and inferior. They even tell her they won't taste her cakes because she is not Kay. What the hell? I would have either stopped bringing food or would buy the cheapest thing available on the supermarket. I think you're not the a-hole. I also think this is hysterical. I'm also incredibly petty, so keep that in mind when reviewing my judgment. I would go with a soft everyone sucks here. What opted wasn't the best, but I 100% agree with it. Pete's family is absolutely the ours, and not the most mature way of dealing with it, but I think it's awesome and also hysterical. NTA gotta love how they said how much better it looked/tasted when they thought Kay made it, but immediately changed their tune once the truth came out. Kay sounds like an insufferable snob when it comes to baking, and there is clear favoritism in the family, so it's high time you made your point, and thank goodness Pete had your back. Am I the antagonist for ordering extra spicy food and embarrassing a date? 20F. Half Chinese from my mom's side. I recently met a guy, 23 male, on Tinder. When I told him my background, he started talking about how much he loves Chinese food and asked me out to dinner and for me to pick my favorite restaurant. There's a great, authentic Sichuan restaurant in our city, so I suggested that. I warned him that it's quite spicy. I have many American friends that say they love Chinese food, but what they really mean is they love Panda Express. Nothing wrong with that. I love American Chinese food too. I just wanted to make sure. He said it's fine. Has been to that restaurant before and it wasn't even that spicy. Then he made a joke about how has offended. After this I'm not sure if it was a joke. I don't think he can eat spicy food. He has a lot of Asian friends and can handle spice better than some of them. We agreed on a date and went to this restaurant. I ordered my dish in Chinese. I look white from my dad, so if I ever order in English, I always get a pretty mild dish, but if I order in Chinese, they'll always make it spicier. My date told me to order for him too, and that he wanted it very spicy. She asked me in Chinese if he was sure, and I said yes. Make it extra spicy. He can handle it. Food comes out, and it's spicy. A couple of bites in, and he starts struggling. I asked how the food is, and has still putting up a strong front, but has barely eating it anymore. The waitress came over and starts speaking to me in Chinese, asking how the food is. The usual small talk, and then said in English to him too spicy, and laughed a little. I didn't think she was being rude. She's probably used to people ordering food too spicy for them all the time, and I laughed a little too. The second she walks away, he asked what I said to her in Chinese, and tells me I ordered it extra spicy to make fun of him because he ate at this place multiple times, but it was never like this, so I must have said something. I try to explain the whole ordering in English vs Chinese thing, that many Asian restaurants will do white spicy. It happens to me at Thai restaurants all the time, unless I'm with a Thai friend. I tried a bite of his, and it's the same. So he tried mine, and he said how mine is way less spicy, but even after I tried with him, he basically only ate rice for the rest of the dinner. After I got home, he texted me saying how it was rude that I purposely ordered and spoke Chinese to the waitress in front of him, even though he asked me to order, that I wanted to embarrass him on purpose, and that I ruined his meal, just so I can laugh at him not being able to handle it. I told some of my friends, so we can laugh about this ridiculous date, but they think I should have known better, that he wasn't going to be able to eat that food, because he probably always got white spicy, and was just being cockatooing to impress me or something, so I shouldn't have told the restaurant to make it extra spicy just to prove that he can't actually handle it. Now for the top comments. NTA. I think he got what he asked for, and shouldn't have bragged so much. Maybe next time he won't claim he can handle the spice. Here I'm thinking thank God they only serve me white spicy. NTA. My date told me to order for him too, and that he wanted it very spicy. He got what he asked for. He texted me saying how it was rude that I purposely ordered and spoke Chinese to the waitress in front of him. Your date, you're half Chinese. Speaking to a Chinese server in a Chinese restaurant. Don't do that. It's rude. Oh my. NTA. You dodged a bullet there. World been real fun dating Mr. Insecure Masculinity.